Hello, my name is Julie Attard and I'm the Programme Manager of the Charnwood Forest Landscape Partnership Scheme. Leicestershire and Rutland Wildlife Trust have asked me to do a short introduction for you to the Landscape Partnership Scheme. I had rather hoped to be standing on top of Beacon Hill or in Bradgate Park doing this introduction for you. But as is the way with many things this year, the pandemic has intervened and I find myself quarantined at home. So I hope you'll forgive me doing this from my house rather than out in the beautiful Charnwood landscape. The Landscape Partnership Scheme is a collaboration between different organisations in Charnwood Forest, and we've created 18 integrated projects that together are going to make a big difference to the communities, local groups, schools, landowners, farmers and small businesses in the area. The scheme is valued at £3.7 million and the lion's share of that is coming from the National Lottery Heritage Fund grant of 2.78 million, which was awarded to us in March 2020 following a two-round application process, and that took a number of years for the partnership to secure. The project began in July 2020 and will run for 5 years until June 2025. The whole point of a landscape partnership is to bring together a diverse group of organisations that often don't work together, they don't traditionally work together. And this is to ensure a whole landscape approach that coordinates management at landscape scale, that really engages with communities at all levels across an area and ensures that we're thinking about all of the different dimensions of sustainability that will help the landscape to become more resilient to the pressures and threats it faces, whether these are environmental, societal or economic. And you can see that we have a number of organisations across those different areas, those different dimensions that are collectively responsible for delivering this project. So these are not the only organisations who will be involved, but they're the ones that are really taking responsibility for delivery of the scheme. And these organisations are supported by a delivery team led by me, and I've got 4 colleagues working with me on this project. We're working from National Forest Company, but on behalf of this entire partnership. So the Charnwood Forest area is this area marked in with the green boundary, and that's where most of the activity in the Landscape Partnership Scheme will be taking place. So it's for the people who live in the project area, but it's also for those communities on the edge as well. And a substantial amount of the outreach activity will be focused on the 3 urban communities on the edge of Charnwood Forest, so Colville, Loughborough and Leicester, many of whom, as we know, travel into the forest for recreation. It's a whole landscape scheme, so it's looking at all of the elements within the landscape and natural environment. And particularly important to our project is the geological heritage. There is incredible geodiversity packed into a relatively small area here. And the particular sort of gems of this are the rare Ediacaran fossils. These are 9 times older than a T-Rex and they're found in only a handful of places on Earth. And they tell us about the earliest moments of complex life on Earth more than 500 million years ago. But the geology isn't just interesting in and of itself, it's shaped the landscape and nature within Charnwood Forest. It shaped the soils above it, and it's because of those rocks that we have all of the wonderful natural heritage that we're familiar with in Charnwood Forest. So these habitats like ancient woodland sites and other rare habitats like heath and acid grassland and the beautiful neutral grasslands that you see along the Ulverscroft Valley, for example. Charnwood Forest has got very high biodiversity value, so it covers an area only 8% of the county, and yet it's got over half of its triple SIs by area. It's got 43% of its ancient woodland and almost 1/3 of its local wildlife sites. So it's really important for nature too. And the landscape has of course affected what will grow, and therefore the land use, the social history, the culture, and ultimately the lives of the communities of the people who've lived here across the centuries. Long term, this incredible landscape will only survive if we can help people to understand why it's so special and to encourage more people to care for it and help to make it economical for farmers and landowners and small businesses to work in harmony with nature and with the heritage of this special area. The projects that are within the Landscape Partnership Scheme include a whole range of themes, and they're based around a quote from our local boy, Sir David Attenborough, who said that no one will protect what they don't care about, and no one will care about what they've never experienced. So we want to encourage people to explore Charnwood Forest, to understand why it matters, and then encourage them to help us care for it in whatever way they can, whether they're 6 or 60, a tourism business or a local farmer, a heritage group or a local sports club. There are ways for everyone to get involved and to help us in this endeavour. So we have 4 projects in the Explore category designed to help people to spend time outdoors and experience the landscape in different ways, and this includes outreach projects and also some support for the visitor economy. We have 5 projects in the Understand category designed to help people to uncover more about the area's heritage and connect people with the landscape, and this includes community archaeology, historical research, outdoor learning projects for local schools, interpretation across the area and community arts projects. And then finally, in the Care for Charnwood category, we have 9 projects designed to actively involve people in the organisations in protecting and managing the landscape. This includes geoheritage conservation, habitat conservation and habitat connectivity, so in making improvements to that, natural flood management, dry stone walling, and all sorts of heritage skills training and opportunities to volunteer. Within the Care for strand, we have a number of conservation projects focusing on Charnwood's key habitats, and these include neutral grasslands such as those seen along the Ulverscroft Valley, woodland, hedgerows and orchards which are quite widespread across Charnwood Forest, heathland and acid grassland which only cover about 3% of Charnwood Forest but are quite important at sites like Bradgate Park and Beacon Hill, and watercourses which also includes looking at natural flood management, and this is where we work with natural processes to try and mitigate flooding further downstream. Alongside the habitat management, we're also looking at wildlife recording, and we have a spider survey focusing on Charnwood spider populations, which are actually quite important regionally, and the wider species identification and monitoring project of which this course is part. Now, I can't really stress enough how important wildlife recording is to helping us to care for these habitats, because without people who are trained to spot the different species that are good indicators of these habitats and particularly the health of these habitats, we're really going to struggle to manage them in future. So you're playing a really important part in helping us to conserve and look after these habitats. I won't say any more, as you're going to hear shortly from several people who know a lot more about this important subject than I do. So I hope you enjoy the workshop, and thanks for playing your part in helping us to protect this very special place. Goodbye for now.